Peace and love, family. Did you know that Black Americans accounted for over 50,000 patents during the Golden Age of Invention?
Yeah, BTV Productions, the Cultural Preservation Station. Tune in. Tune in. Hey, yo. Black education, cultural preservation. Tailor BTV, but cause elevation. Tune into the station, we rockin' the whole nation. That's right, we rockin' the whole nation. Prepping new generation for mental activation. Tailor BTV's the new sensation. Stop the hesitation and learn something new. My girl Taylor B's here to show and prove. Terrorist shit.
All right. Peace and love, family. Thank you so much. Welcome back to another episode of Culture Reflections, where we reflect the positive images of the culture back to you, giving you inspiration and the drive and the motivation to move on and move forward. I want to thank everybody that's here tuning in today live with us. Welcome to the channel. If you're new, please subscribe and like the channel. I am the Queen Bee, and this is Culture Reflections Podcast, episode 10, where we're going to be deep diving into the Black American inventions, looking at the Master Number 11 Day. Welcome to the channel. Peace and love to all the regulars. If you're new here, welcome to BTV. We're pleased to have you. Please make sure you like and subscribe to the video. Hit that bell notification so you don't miss anything that we have coming up for you. Tonight, I want to honor a few things with this episode. I want to give a salute, first of all, to all the Black American inventors throughout history and to the Black American inventors that are making current inventions and making current trends in the world today. We're also going to be debunking some of the myths and the attitudes around Black Americans and about their contributions throughout history in the world. So, we're going to make sure that we debunk the myth or attitude toward Black Americans' positive contributions throughout history. And next, we're going to be really looking at the master number 11, such a visionary and inventive, creative number. It's a magical master number, no doubt. And we're going to look at some of the inventions that were actually patented on an 11 day. So we got five that were patented on a 29 day, which is an 11. And then we got six that were patented on a 11 day. So we're going to get into all those insights and look at all of that, if you will. So I am so excited to be here with you. If you want to know more about the master number 11, make sure you head over to our other YouTube channel at Numeralytics, where we do a daily update of energy, and it's called NEO, Numeralytic Energy Observations. So we did a whole thing on master number 11 today, since today was October 11th. So make sure you go check that out and subscribe to that channel too if you're interested in astronumerology and metaphysical things of that nature. Speaking of that, next week on Cultural Reflections, I'm going to have a special guest. Let me just get this up here right now. I want you guys to make sure you tune in next week on Wednesday. I'm going to have a special guest on Cultural Reflections. I'm going to get this up on the screen right now. I want to make sure that you guys tune into this. I'm very honored to have the world renowned astronumerologist Lloyd Strayhorn on my program on October 16th at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I am so excited. I can't tell you how excited I am to have Lloyd on the show. Much respect for him. He is my instructor. He is just amazing, just such an amazing soul and an amazing person. So I'm happy to bring him to the BTV audience so you guys can get to know him if you don't know him, and make sure you're following him. So make sure you're tuned in for that next week. Without further ado, let me get these slides up here. All right, guys. So I'm going to make myself really small on here because I have a lot of things that I want to go over, and I want to make sure that you guys can see this and so that we don't miss anything. So we're going to really be talking about patents and inventions and really just debunking the myth that Black Americans did not contribute to any inventions, or just really the attitude toward our nation in general. We want to really change the way that we're looked at globally. These are some of the things that we can do to start changing those perceptions. Is this to really explain these hidden histories, explain how these things happened, and let you know that, hey, we are major contributors to most of the inventions across the world. So, we're really going to get into that and dive deep into that. So let's get into it. So the golden age of invention was from 1870 to 1940, that so-called golden age. And we know that was from the end of the Civil War right up through World War II. And that was around the second phase of the Industrial Revolution, where there was a lot going on. There was a lot of economic growth and political movement going on around that time. And then throughout history, it's been widely believed that Black Americans did not participate in the Industrial Revolution or in the economic boom or inventions or contributions during that time. And that is suggested by several published papers, academic journals, history books, people's opinions, the news, the media. So it's not just something that I'm just saying. This is something that's actually documented, and they talk about it in this article. And obviously, every article that we get our sources from, we will cite them in the description below so you guys can go check them out and get more information if you want to go more in depth in what we're going to be doing on the show. So not only is there a perception that Black Americans didn't have a contribution, there's also a contemporary belief that Black people are much less likely to become inventors than their white counterparts, Asian Americans, and or other immigrants. And we just know that's just simply not true. And we can just look through history to tell that's not true. So let's get on to the next slide. Not seeing I had that slide still up. This is the beginning opening bold statement that from the period after the end of the Civil War to the start of World War II, Northern Black people were among the most inventive people in the history of the world. Now, I know that probably goes against everything that you probably ever believed. It probably goes against everything that you were ever taught. But this is the truth, guys. This is the bottom line truth. We are responsible for, I'm going to get into the data, but the data states 2.7%, but I'll posit and I'll prove through some of the things that we're going to look at tonight that looking at from the time that we could not have inventions, and let me bring myself up on the screen for a minute. So, looking at the time from um, the early 17th century and the 18th century, when we definitely were not allowed to patent anything and invent anything. We were allowed to invent things. We were inventing things, but we weren't allowed to patent it, obviously, and get credit for it during that era. So if we add up all of the inventions from the 17th century and the 18th century, and then looking from the golden age, from the end of the Civil War, going right through to World War II, if we add that in and factor that in with the data that is shown on the table, we will see that we probably surpassed England and Germany. We definitely surpassed England, but we're going to take a look at Germany's numbers, and I believe we would have surpassed them too. So let's get right back into the numbers so we can make sure everyone knows and sees what we're talking about. And I'm just going to go ahead to the next slide. So here we go again. This is the golden age of invention. This is the years that they dubbed it. Again, we just said from 1870 to 1940. The Black people living in the North were 8 times more likely to be awarded a patent than Black people living in the South. And then in the North, Black people share patents equal their share of the population. So that means pretty much every Black person that lived in the North, for they had an invention for each person per capita. And then our intro statement, with over 50,000 total patents, Black people accounted for more than inventions during this period than immigrants from every other country except England and Germany. And we're going to get into that slide. I'm going to show you this data, and you guys are going to see it with your own two eyes that even though we did experience setbacks during this time, we were still able to persevere and become one of the most inventive communities and cultures in the entire globe, not just in America. This is globally. All right, so let's jump over here to the next slide. Right. So here goes the data here. Give me 1 second so I can pull up the observations on the data. All right. So here you are looking at the golden age of patents from 1870 to 1940. And as you can see, like we just read, the white people in the North had the most, and that's second by the Black people in the North. And then it's thirded by the white people in the South. And then in fourth place for the Black people in the South. From 1870 to 1940, Black people living in the North were 8 times more likely to be awarded a patent than Black people living in the South. Now, white people living in the North were 3 times more likely to invent a patent than white people living in the South. And they cite that regional effects were weaker for the white people in the South, and there were less concentrated amount of white people in the South. And that's what they attribute that statistic to. And I'll attribute some of the missing statistics there or some of the inflated statistics, if you will, that a lot of those white people in the North and those white people in the South disproportionately were taking credit for a lot of the inventions that the Black Americans were making during these times. And that's going to show this skew. It's going to show a disproportionate amount in the data. And that's obviously something that can't be tracked and traced totally because of obviously the history of things and the way things are. But definitely we know it's true. And we're going to look at a couple of stories a little bit later just to point out two stories out of many that show that there was thievery taking place amongst inventions with Black Americans. And there were also times where it wasn't really thievery or malice on anyone's part other than the system. And we do know that the system has held us back um, many years, and they still continue to do so today. So let me pull this up. So in the North, the Black people's share of patents equaled their share of the population. Black people accounted for 1.6% of the North's population and 1.6% of patents across the decades studied. So the rate of patenting per capita among Northern Blacks and white residents was extremely high during this period. They say that both of these rates exceed the US rate of invention for most of the country's history and approaches the highest rates observed around the world today at country level. So during this golden age of invention, no one was inventing more than the United States. And then Black Americans, even with all of the different proportionate injustices and setbacks that were taking place, they still persevered and showed up with good big numbers here. So let's look at the numbers. So the database states that there were 87% of inventions were traced to the people born in the United States. And out of that 87%, and that's what we're looking at here, this 87, 2.7% of those were invented by Black Americans. So that would be the blue line and the green and the orange line together. So that would be the blue line and the orange line together right here. So that 2.7%. Now they're saying 2.7%. We're gonna look at the other statistics and I'm gonna posit that 2.7% should be at least doubled to 3.4%, looking at some of the injustices and the thievery that was going on with a lot of the inventions during this time frame. So again, people living in the US contributed disproportionately to this rise. 87% of the inventions traced to the people born in the United States. 2.7% were invented by Black Americans, and that was a larger share than nearly every immigrant group except for two. And we're going to look at that next in the next graph. And then, like I said just now, I would double our number. I would double that 2.7% to 3.4%. And if we look at the time frame before the golden age, couple that with the golden age and stolen inventions or inventions that we just were simply shut out from being able to patent, that number automatically to me doubles to 3.4%. And if we put us at 3.4% just based off that alone, we beat out England. And I would even posit to say if we add the 17th and 18th centuries, it might even go above 5%. And we'll look at the graph later to see. I think England's right around 5%. So after accounting for patents during these years, it's widely known that immigrants in the United States contribute disproportionately to entrepreneurship and innovation, and they continue to do so today. However, It's also the case that during the Golden Age of Invention, most of the inventions came from people born in the United States, and a big proportion of them were Black Americans. So, what does that tell you? That tells you that through policy, through different policies, laws, different things like enterprise zones, we were shut out of things. These were part of some of the setbacks that we're going to talk about real quick as we get into some of the slides. So let's talk about some of these setbacks, guys. There were definitely setbacks going on, and these were some of the setbacks for the people in the North. Despite living and working in the North, these and other Black inventors and entrepreneurs and workers of all kinds face discrimination and professional and financial barriers that white people did not. Obtaining a patent was more difficult for Black people because it often involved working with a white lawyer who may be tempted to engage in unfair dealings. And that's a lot of them stealing some of those inventions or just being shisty with it or charging more money where people weren't able to afford it, different things like that. These obstacles no doubt suppressed the wealth and fame and influence of Black inventors on the whole. Yet many of us did succeed in making important contributions to American technological and economic development. So, despite the setbacks, despite all the stuff that we had to fight through, we still did the damn thing. And that's what we do. We persevere as a community. We've done it since inception of time. Everything thrown at us, we've fought, we've battled through. We've fought blood, sweat, and tears for our freedom. We're fighters, so I know that's why we see that we didn't really have a problem with at least getting that 2.7% through. And like I said, with all of the setbacks and all of that other stuff, that 2.7 easily could be 3.4. So now let's look at these statistics right here. So hopefully you can see this. This is the table of inventions through the golden age. So let's look at this right here. I should have had a pointer where you could see, but if you can see the mouse, it's right here. So all Black Americans are 2.7%. Now, keep in mind, I think that we should be at 3.4% because this should be doubled based on everything that got stolen from us and the things that were not allowed to patent. So now you look down here, this is the immigrant groups by country of birth here. So we're just looking at these first two rows. So here you see Germany, they were the only other group that beat us out at 5.2%. And in England at 3.2% was the only other group that beat us out. And actually, they didn't because we were at 3.4%. I'm putting us at 3.4%. So Germany was the only group that actually beat us out if we look at the numbers. And then you see Canada at 2.5, and then you can see the rest go down from there. And then this is the white Americans in the US. So we know that their number is disproportionately high because of a lot of them taking the credit for a lot of the slaves that they owned. They would take the credit for the inventions that they would come up with, and there was really nothing that they could do about it. That's just the story. That's how it goes, and that's how history is gone. But that's what we do here at BTV. We highlight things like this. We let you know that, hey, that's a myth. We are great contributors. We're great builders. We're master builders. And that's getting and talking about the master number 11 and being visionary and just really being a service to humanity. That's part of the master number energy. And that's why I decided to do this live about the inventions and just taking a look at some of the inventors that actually patent their invention on the master 11 number day. Let's get back into this. So some of the other setbacks during the golden age were that several like important institutions changed in the north, and that stopped a lot of the opportunities for black advancement. It basically stalled and reversed our invention rate after the golden age. And in the 1920s, we saw the birth of zoning laws and other government backed institutions that closed off real estate markets to black people, and that led to rapid increase in racial segregation throughout the subsequent years, which reached its peak around the 1970s. So with the racial segregation, the zoning laws, a lot of that was put in place to stop the rate of invention that black Americans were inventing, because I'm telling you, we were inventing at a crazy rate. You can see that we invented more than any other immigrant group globally. I'll give it to Germany. I'll give it to Germany because we beat England out. We beat England out with 3.4%. So with racial segregation, that made it made it harder. It made the goal harder. to obtain. We ran into areas that we were targeted for disinvestment, different public resources were taken away, including educational resources. And meanwhile, while all this was going on, you had professional associations that were starting to pop up around the country, including places like the American Bar Association, the American Medical Association. They gained their prominence in the early 20th century, and they used their emerging powers in part to officially discriminate against Black people for decades. So these are some of the setbacks that we had to deal with. And that's why I said if we look at all of those setbacks and all of those different things, we definitely beat out England. We definitely beat them out. Debunking a myth, like we're stating it, we're laying it down right now. Just so you know that Black Americans account for pretty much like 98% of the inventions around the world. And this was all invented during that golden age era. And then once again, just like a lot of other things that we can point to in history, hip hop is one of them. Just like once they see the power in something that we do, they take it for themselves and they flip it and bounce it to destroy us with it. And that's what happened here. Again, we know all that, and right now we're gonna highlight a couple of the stories that happened prior to the golden age, just to show you how some of that kind of stuff affected us and how it really prevented us from being able to take credit for a lot of the patents that we were producing. So let's get this up here. So we're gonna look at a couple of examples here. So this first example is about Henry Boyd. So he's a Black American inventor that did not get his credit for his invention. He was born into slavery in Kentucky in 1802, and then after purchasing his freedom in 1826, he invented a corded bed created with wooden rails connected to the headboard and the footboard. So that's a bed. That's basically a bed with the footboard and the headboard. So a Black American invented that, guys. So every time you go to lay down and go to sleep tonight, I want you to thank Henry Boyd for inventing that bed so you could lay down in luxury. So the Boyd bedstead was so popular that the famous, of course, we know historian Carter G. Woodson profiled it in his successful, iconic book, The Miseducation of the Negro. But with the racist climate and the racist realities of the time, it led Henry Boyd to believe that he would not be able to patent his invention and receive the patent. So he ultimately decided to partner with a white craftsman, allowing his partner to apply for and receive the patent for the bed. So again, this is just one example. This wasn't like a thievery type of example, but it was an example where this Black American inventor, he invented this great thing that we all use to this day around this globe. And it's just, oh, you can't get credit for that. So we have to let your white partner get credit for that. These are the things that we were dealing with during this time. And that's why I said that 2.7% is easily 3.4%. And I'm being generous. I bet you if we were able to database all of those inventions and cross reference them, we could probably find a lot more percentage that belong to us. That was just one story. So let's look at another story. One more we're going to look at, and then we're going to move on to the master number 11 inventions. All right. So this story is Benjamin Montgomery. This was historical racism and inventions. So he was born into slavery in 1819. He invented a steamboat propeller designed for shallow waters in the 1850s. How brilliant is that? The brilliance of our community, guys. We are brilliant people. We need to really embrace that energy back and start acting like it again and start making sure that we're creating things like this, showing, proving to the world we are not the bottom. We have just been pinned to the bottom, but we are not the bottom. And that's not to say anybody else is the bottom, because that whole thing is a terrible mindset to have. But what I will say is, since this is, pretty much the way things go, we are not the bottom. And I want every Black American to know that. And I want you to walk outside your door every day with your head held high, knowing that you're not at the bottom. And then you need to show and prove through your actions that you're not at the bottom. But let me get off my soapbox. So, anyway, so he invented that steamboat propeller. He tried to apply for a patent. And guess what? It was rejected due to his status as a slave. So, see, here goes another example of a patent rejected because of racism. So Montgomery's owners tried to take credit for the propeller invention and patent it themselves, but the patent office rejected their application because they were not the true inventors. Now, this was one case where they rejected it because they weren't the true inventors, but there's been many cases where that did not happen, where they did allow the white slave owner to actually take the patent and patent it for themselves. And let's just take a minute to appreciate the steamboat that he invented. This was a really valuable thing at the time. Look back at the time we're looking at. And these steamboats were what they used to deliver their food and necessities through like shallow waterways and connecting settlements. So if the boats got stuck, life sustaining supplies would be delayed for days or weeks. So this brilliant man, Benjamin Montgomery, invented that propeller, and it's just amazing. It's really amazing what we can do under pressure. It's where we really are diamonds, you guys. We really are diamonds. It's like under pressure, we just start shining, we sparkle, and we just do the best creations. We're very creative people, so I just want us to make sure we keep in the spirit of that. Keep our spirits up. We got the whole world going against us, so we just have to keep our spirits up and make sure that we keep pushing on, just like these guys did back in the day. My goodness gracious, look at all the stuff they had to overcome, and look at how they did it. So the owners tried to get it and they wouldn't give it to them because they weren't the true inventors. So even without the patent, Montgomery did go on to amass a significant amount of wealth. And he did become one of the wealthiest planters in Mississippi after the Civil War ended. And eventually his son Isaiah was able to purchase more than 800 acres of land and found the town of Mound Bayou, Mississippi after his father's death. Guys, you know our history goes deep. A lot of us are indigenous to this land. There are some of us that did come over on a slave ship and we amalgamated with the indigenous ones on the land, other with a lot with a few other groups. And that's what makes us today. That's what makes us foundational Black Americans. It makes us great. This is our land. It's not no, you don't know where you're from. Yes, we do. We're from here. I would tell people to do their genealogy and continue to keep going. And that's not a shot to anybody. We're all family. We're all indigenous to all these land masses. But we need to start getting history straight. We need to start getting things clear and making sure that we're getting the credit for the things that we've done and not allowing people to take the credit for the things that we have contributed. That's a part of my cultural ascension principles, to make sure that you're documenting things. That way people can't say what they did. And that we're going to see that through the rest of the presentation, the second part of the presentation, as we get into the master number 11 patent inventions throughout history from Black American inventors. So without further ado, let me get this up on the stage. We're going to so I'll pull this up, but I also want to pull up the inventions as we go. So you guys can just take a look at them, see those dates. So this brother, the first brother on here is Elijah McCoy. Now, let me tell you about this brother, Elijah McCoy. He is a bad brother. He's from Detroit. He has over 57 patents in the Golden Age era alone. So he did a lot of inventive, creative things with cars, spark plugs, lubricants, all types of stuff that I don't know about. I don't know too much about cars, but he did, and he did it. So this timeline that you're looking at are the 11 Black American inventions that were registered on a master number 11 day. Now, these are the first five that we're looking at out of 11 in honor of that master number 11 day. And these first five were actually patented on the 29th. So, which is a little bit of a different energy, but it does reduce to the 11. And we know when we see a master 11 number or a master 22 number, we don't go any further than that because they have their own resonant energy. So we're just going to run through the inventions. So here go the 11 Black American inventions registered on a master number 11 day. Now, these ones were registered on the 29th octave of the master number 11. So Elijah McCoy, the lubricator, May 29th, 1888. This brother has over 57 inventions. Then we have July 29th, 1890, A. Plugsley with the blind stop, and that's to stop the blinds. I'm going to actually try to post these pictures up on the YouTube so you guys can see these. I don't know how I can do it, but it's not really letting me share them. but I wanted you to see the inventions that these brothers did. And then Elijah McCoy, he's back up there for a dope cup. I think it's really a drop cup, but it's called a dope cup, but it has to do with the engine and it like does something with collecting the oil. Um, and then in March 29th, 1898, we have the brother that did the combined coat and hat rack. Hold on, let me get his name because it's not up here. Will J. Ballow. March 29th, 1898, he invented the combined hat rack and table. And then Frederick M. Jones invented the two-cycle gas engine, May 29th, 1945. Now, where will we be without these things, guys? Seriously, what will we be doing right now? What would we be doing right now if we didn't have a blind stop on our mini blind and it wouldn't stop? So the blind would just be all down to the floor and it would probably be dragging, getting dirty, all kinds of stuff. The lubricator for the engines, the two cycle gas engine. Like seriously, where would we be without these things? So we really got to give it up for the Black American inventors, guys. This is serious business. Enough is enough. That's all I can say. Enough is enough. Give credit where credit's due. We don't take credit from anybody. We always give credit where credit's due. So that's all we ask in return from everybody else. And I don't really think it's a big ask. I don't think it's that hard. I just think people need to start respecting other people and stop acting as if they're better than other people. I think that's really the bottom line. So here goes the rest of the 11 inventions. Now, these are the other six, and these were registered on the Master 11 day itself. So let's take a look at these and what they are. We have William Marshall on May 11th, 1886. He invented the grain grinder. So that's to bind the grains up back in the day, the wheat grains and the rice grains, which was a very important invention then during that time. Alexander Miles. Now, this brother invented the electric elevator doors. He's actually featured. A lot of these inventors are on my page on Instagram. So make sure you're following me on Instagram at Teller B Media, where you will see a lot of this stuff throughout the times I'm posting it. You can go look back at my page for a lot of Black history stuff. But anyway, Alexander Miles, he invented the electric elevator doors. Where would you guys be without these elevator doors? Ask yourself that. What would you be doing if you had to go to the Empire State Building in New York, all the way up all of those floors without electric elevator doors? All right. So think Alexander Miles the next time you get on an elevator, because that's the brother that invented those elevator doors and allowed us to safely ride an elevator. Then we have John Purdy and Daniel Sajwar. Now, these brothers invented the folding chair, so I got to come off for this. So they invented the folding chair. So we know about the Montgomery Brawl, August 5th, which is my mom's birthday. What a love, such a lovely day. That Montgomery Brawl on August 5th, the famous brawl with the folding chair. And we had the meme that if anybody acted up, we just put that chair in the meme and you knew what time it was. So the next time we look at the August Brawl, the Montgomery Brawl, we got to make sure that we think this brother right here, these two brothers, John Purdy and Daniel Sajwar, because they're the ones that invented the folding chair on June 11th, 1889. So I thought that's cool. That's why I wanted to use that one. So here we go. Let's get right along. So November 11th, 1890, we have Darrell McCree. Now, this brother invented the portable fire escape. Now, where would we be back then without the portable fire escape? You know how many lives this guy saved by inventing this? And then another Black brother invented the fire ladder. That's on my page. I'll try to pull that up at the end. So moving right along, listen, I can't make this up. I'm not, these are inventions that we invented. And people think that we don't have no contribution. So the next time somebody tries to tell you that, just refer them to this video. And we could take all the smoke over here at BTV. We'll take it. So let's get right along. William Moody, the game board, May 11th, 1897. So like Monopoly and all the board games, Think a black man for that. William Moody, black man, did that. So next time you have family night with your family, think William Moody for all those game board that you're playing on. He invented the very first one. All right. October 11th, we have Charles Bailiff. Now, ladies, my Mercedes. This man invented the shampoo headrest, October 11th, 1898. Where will we be, ladies, without our shampoo headrest? You know, we like being at the salon. You know, we like getting our hair done. And before that, people's necks was getting all cramped and it was hard to wash your hair out. He invented that nice soft headrest where we lay our head and it's like a little pillow right there, or the bowl, like the little dip in the bowl. That's him. That's Charles Bailiff. He invented that. So this is, I'm not making this up. You can go look all of this stuff up. We're going to be putting all of the everything, all the links in the description. So you can make sure you want to go look at that stuff and read more about all of this. We want you to do that. And right now, before I close out the show, I'm just going to go share my page here. I want you guys to go follow me on Instagram. This is my Instagram at Taylor B Media. Make sure you guys are following me there. As you can see, I have a lot of the Black American inventors on my page. So this is Albert B. Blackburn. He invented the railway signal, spring seats, and cash carrier. So throughout that golden age. Then you see here Benjamin Banneker. I think most of us know who that is. He invented that clock at the master age of 22. So I thought that was cool. So if you don't know about these guys, go follow me on Instagram and you can see a lot of Black history and get a lot of cultural news that we have going on. As you can see, this is my page. Here goes Alexander Miles. Let me see if I can pull this one up. Yep. Here he goes. He invented these automatic elevator doors on October 11th, 1887. Here goes his patent right here. This is what I was trying to pull up on the other screen and I couldn't get it up there. But yes, this is real stuff, guys. Real stuff. I want you guys to make sure you're following me. Let me see who else I got up here. If there's anybody quick and close. I was looking for Charles Bailiff so I could show you the headrest. I have Blackburn up here twice. Oh, here goes Alfred L. Krell. He invented the ice cream scooper, February 2nd. That's another 2 day. February 2nd, 1897. We have here goes the brother that invented the wagon mounted fire escape ladder, Joseph Richard Winters. He invented that on May 7th, another moon day. 2 and 7 are the moon numbers, guys. So I'm not surprised. This is pretty funny. I may have to do a case study on inventions that were invented on the 2 or the 7 day. So pretty cool stuff. The moon illuminates places that would be dark normally. So I'm not surprised that these inventions came either through the master visionary 11 number, and on the 2 day or on the 7 day that is connected to the moon and the moon's energy, imaginative and creative. So make sure you follow my page here. I think that's most of the inventors that I have up here. So I'm going to take that down. And I just really want to thank you guys for tuning in to BTV. We do have a lot going on right now. We have our numeralytics page going where we're going to be doing a lot of videos over there. I am going to start pretty much splitting up the platforms where I'm going to be keeping most of the astronumerology stuff over there on the numeralytics platform. You're welcome to come over there and follow us and join us over there. And I'm going to keep most of the BTV stuff. Obviously, all the BTV stuff will still be here on BTV, and we'll still be doing cultural reflections. I told you earlier, I announced I have Lloyd Strayhorn, the world renowned astronumerologist, coming on the next episode of Cultural Reflections. That'll be episode 11, since we're talking about the 11 today. So I'm super excited about that. I want to make sure that you guys stay tuned in with me. We have a lot going on, so make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you want to learn more about astronumerology, subscribe to our channel at Numeralytics. All of these links, all of the sources, everything will be in the description. I hope you guys have a great day. Until the next Cultural Reflections, peace, love, and harmony to the family. Peace.
Freedom, justice, equality, equality, equality.
What I'm gonna talk about.
freedom,
what I'm gonna
freedom,
talk
freedom,
about.
freedom, justice, 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 equality, 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 equality. Yeah.
Freedom for you and for me.
But when I look at y'all, I see a law. When I look in the mirror, I see the law. Now the question is, what is our law going to do for his nation? What is the earth going to do for their nation? So if you want things to change, if you want things to become better, then you yourself must make these things what happen. All that is caused by you, not by something else. Stop thinking that something is going to cause something to happen. Stop thinking something is going to cause